Ooh, that looks tasty.
Welcome, folks. Day the Hungry Gamer is back with another game review, and today we are talking about Call of the Abyss, which is the latest expansion for Revive from Aporta Games. And I am joined by occasional podcast co host, Original Chicken Don, who played this game with me the other weekend, and he played through all of the campaign of the original game with me as well. So he probably knows this game better than I do. And so
I don't know
we're
about that.
just, well, definitely. And so for the unwashed masses, i.e., the people who don't have the game, which apparently is a lot. Apparently, it's still very hard to get here in the US.
Sure.
I mean, I don't mean the expansion, I mean Revive itself. Apparently, it's very hard to get.
Yeah, it hasn't really had a wide release, it seems like.
Yeah, which is surprising to me because some of Porta Games' other games, like the Magnificent, it's always on sale everywhere.
The expansion is hard to find.
That's true. That's true. I did have to have someone bring it to me from Canada. So I guess it's widely available in Canada. So everyone go to Canada to get this game if you want it. But anyhow, you can check out my video on Revive. There'll be a link to that down in the description if you're interested. But let's talk a little bit specifically about this expansion. So for people who don't know, what the expansion adds is it adds an additional track that goes on the side of the board. I think it's called the deep track, but it is a track that you can go down occasionally. Sometimes cards or events will allow you to kind of drop down this track, or you can actually turn in regular points as you get them to slowly go down the track. And as you go down the track, you unlock these jellyfish cards. They're not called jellyfish cards. They're called like Syphas or Psychas, something or another. But they got big
Something
old
like that.
jellyfish on the back. And these are
Yeah.
like uber powerful cards that you can get. Both their top and their bottom are super powerful. As you go down the track, it gives you a free unlock of one of your technologies if you get far enough down, and it gives you another scoring option as you go far enough down. Additionally, it also unlocks these, I'm going to call them adventures. They're not really adventures, but these cards that you can claim with your switch action, which, if you've accomplished whatever goal is on there, it gives you extra points on that deep track. And then the last major thing that this expansion brings are 4 new factions. We actually got to play with 3 of the 4 when we played this weekend. And these factions are all, I don't want to say that they're hard to play, but they are more complex, I think, than the others. So, for example, the one I had was they were like little leeches, and I could put little creepy fungus, watery leeches on you guys and steal your card powers, not your cards. There was Streamline Matt who was playing the very efficient humans that are kind of robot like. And he had little machines that he was flipping back and forth and using and then not using. And you had like stargates that you were putting out on the board.
Yeah, I mean, they were gates that were either open or closed, and if they were open, they were one big step in calculating distance, which is a huge thing in this game, and they were closed, then nobody could pass them, but I could count distance from them.
Yeah,
So it
once
gave
you
me an
unlock different
advantage over an
technology.
area. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the fourth faction that we didn't use, they are these cat people with 4 arms. And let me just say, 4 ripped arms. Like these cat people are buff.
I
So these
didn't even
buff,
see the art.
well, I mean, I didn't want to intimidate you. You know,
Appreciate that.
these buff cat people, their shtick is they have different powers if it's night or day, and every time they hibernate, and I think every time they do their switch, they flip their day and night token over, which means all of their technologies do different things as you unlock those. And then, oh, and the last thing are these big lakes that go out, which are completely impassable. But if you build next to them, not only do you get those deep points, but every time you hibernate, you get some kind of bonus, which might be points or it might be resources or whatever, whatever. So, with all of that said, Don, Chicken Don,
Hmm.
how did you feel about the expansion? Because you played through all of the other, and I will say we played with everything from the core game except for the drafting of starting cards. We didn't do that.
Which didn't hurt it at all.
No,
It was
no, no.
fine.
I chose to not to play with that because I thought there's a kind of a mini game with the drafting of your cards. And so I wanted us all to kind of start on the same footing just to see how these factions stacked up.
I'd like to play my faction again because I didn't use it enough. I built one gate the entire game and then kind of forgot about it while I was trying to optimize everything else. I really like the big lakes where every time you hibernate, if you've built a house next to it, you get a you get something every time. Like that kind of engine building is really fun. And the gates were a cool mechanism, and I just kind of like got lost in trying to optimize the normal game that I forgot to use them. Um, they when you build them, you automatically get the resources that are under them or the advancement on the tracks. If you've played the original game, those give you free advancement on tracks if you build them over the right terrain. Um, so that was fun. I like that kind of head start on the tracks, and I really should have done it more, built more
Yeah, I think
gates
you
just
only
to get
build
that.
one of your three
Yeah,
or four gates. You
four or
only built
five.
one. Yeah. Oh, 4 or 5, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I built one, and then kind of forgot about them. It feels like a lot to build them over a space, like you're waiting to optimize that, right? Where is the best possible space? Like the best possible space was right next to the starting point, which means that gate didn't buy me a lot of distance, but it like immediately got me 3 track advancements.
Yeah, and
And
I was
then, yeah,
go
I
ahead.
I really enjoyed building next to the big lakes. You know, just that idea that early in the game you could build a house or a big house, whatever they're called, and just for the rest of the game, every time you hibernate, you get a free thing.
Yeah, it made it almost I didn't build next to the lake until more of the later game, but it did almost make me want to hibernate before I had to, because
Mhm.
it reminds me a bit of Dwellings of Eldervale in that you can pull back before you have to,
Yeah,
but no one ever wants to. And it's the same thing in Revive, but these lakes, when you build next to them, it almost might make it to where you're leaving stuff on the table if you're not pulling back a little or resting, hibernating a little bit more, which I thought was really interesting. I definitely I'd liked all three of the factions, even though I was only playing one of them. I thought they were really different. I leaned into mine and totally was suboptimal about it because I was just using my little leeches as often as I could. I didn't realize though that all I had to do was wait until you and he got those jellyfish cards, which are so good.
I love those cards.
Oh man, and I could just start using those. And once I started, for everyone watching here, I won the game significantly, and I think a big part of it was, I mean, one, completely maximized some in-game scoring stuff, but I was able to do that because I really used, I thought, my leech power well, and I kept using you guys' super powerful cards.
Mm.
And I really felt that helped. And Matt said that he used his little machine things over and over and over again. So I really liked all the factions. I don't want to say I like them all better than the core game because I think all the core game factions are interesting too. But the new ones are really cool. I thought.
Especially with the jellyfish cards,
Yeah,
whatever they're really called. Cyphos cards, I think, is right, but jellyfish is better. Um, those are kind of amazing, and I did everything I could to move up that track, which probably lost me the game. Like anytime you try to do the bonus track exclusively, you're gonna lose the game. But I was
but it
really
was so
keen to see
tempting.
if it worked.
It
Yeah,
was so tempting, dude. It was such an attractive track. And I'll say it was
yeah,
interesting because, like, I know you thought that I was just doing gamesmanship. I really thought you were beating the crap out of us.
I did
And
too, to be
until
honest.
until the end of the game, those I don't know, maybe the last 20 minutes, I was like, oh, maybe I have a chance here. If I
Yeah.
can drag the game out just long enough, maybe I have a chance. Which I thought was pretty cool. Yeah, I really dug it. I also really liked the little adventure cards. I know they're not called adventure cards. And I'm sorry, at Porta Games. I'm using all the wrong terms. But using those cards as a way to go down that deep track, which is
Mhm.
how didn't get down as far as you did, but I got my 3 cards by going far down the track. And I did it almost exclusively through those extra cards. And I was able to then piggyback those cards because it turns like little beaker science things into more points at the end of the game. And
Yeah.
I mean, it wound up giving me like 45 points. So I really liked it. But I thought those were very fun mainly because they gave me something to target, something to shoot for. It's like, so sometimes like I don't know what to do. I was like, well, I'll chase after one of those cars. I really enjoyed those too. I don't know how many of those you did.
I honestly don't remember. I did a few of them just because they took me up that track, and I was really on a mission to get up that track, and I ended up at the end of the track, which was 25 points. You and Matt were both at 20, and really, like 20 is where you need to get that third jellyfish card, and then all you get from getting to 25, besides 5 points, is one of the artifacts.
Right,
So I spent the whole game focused on that track, and you both got about as far as I did.
right. So
So yeah,
it's now there is one more thing that the expansion adds, and it's hard to tag down exactly which ones they were, but there are some new cards that you can draft that I thought had pretty interesting abilities. And you got most of them, I think, in the game. Those cards that would let you use an ability of something that was
oh
already out
yeah,
on the board, or one that, as long as you had it slotted, it gave you a discount on whatever it was you were doing. Things like that. I don't think
yeah.
I got any of those. Did you find those effective?
I love those cards. I had one that gave me a discount of 1 on any actions. So all I had to do is play that card at the beginning of a round, my first action after hibernating. And then every turn after that until I hibernated again, I had a discount. And then I had another one that as long as it was out, it gave me 2 free movement. And
Yeah.
again, distance is super important in this game. And so 2 free movement is huge. So yeah, those are a lot of fun, and
And
there was a bonus on one side and a bonus on the other side, so if you put them at the top of your board, you got one thing, if you put it at the bottom, you got another.
and there are a few more ways that were added with the machines and other things that let you take cards out of your played area and put it into your discard or your hibernating area, which means you could have played that card almost every round
Yep.
if it worked out right. Yeah, I liked all of that. What are your quibbles with this expansion? I only have one that I think's like big. I got one big one.
I'm gonna let you say that, I was just gonna say, like, usually expansions feel like something that's being shoehorned into a finished game, right? And, there are always the theories that, like, an expansion is the stuff that they was supposed to be in the core game and
Mhm.
they saved it. I
Right.
don't usually find that that's the case, it's usually something they stripped away or something they thought of later. So I like an expansion that takes the core game and gives you a few more things you can do. And this really feels like that. Like this feels like it made the game better, which is what an expansion should do and rarely does. So other than the fact that I lost, like trying to go up that extra track, like I should have balanced my game more, but I'm like, I'm gonna see what this expansion does for me.
Yeah, well, it was funny
And
because early on, when it just looked like you were waxing us, I said, "I invited you here, Don, so I could win," and it just looked really bad. No, my only
yeah,
real quibble with it is makes the game longer.
it does.
Yeah, like it's a deceptively longer game with it. Like it doesn't seem like this should be a long game, but I mean, it was a 2 hour game.
And yet at the end I said I needed more time.
Hmm.
'Cause I
Yep.
had built a good engine like I always do, and then the game's over,
Yeah,
which
you're
is
in. You gotta bring that car out of the garage, Don. You gotta
yeah,
bring it out of the garage. You gotta burn out the gunk. You gotta
I
drive
just
it.
like to tinker. I just like to keep building that engine, then the game's over.
Yeah, and but yeah, that's my only thing. Like it does make the game longer, and it does increase analysis paralysis if you are susceptible to that. I mean, I don't know if I'm the least susceptible to analysis paralysis, but I feel like I'm pretty light on that. I don't have it a lot, and there was definitely some turns where I was like, you guys are gonna have to just shut up because I don't know what I'm doing because I had one idea and you done ruined it. And I found there was definitely a couple times where I was taking a while, and none of us are particularly AP prone. And
Yeah.
I think all of us had some turns where it was a good couple of minutes before we did anything because we're trying to figure out what made the most sense.
Yeah, there was not a lot of AP in our session. I could see how it could happen for folks who are AP prone, but, um, I don't think it changed that considerably for the game. Like, there are a few more choices, but I think if you're AP prone, this game will do that to you just in the base game.
That's fair. That's
And
fair.
yeah,
It's not a game for someone that's going to try to math out everything.
right.
No,
Because either you have a hand of cards no matter what, right? And you might have some different cards based on this, but I think an AP prone person is going to get stuck with this game anyway, and somebody who's not is going to be fine. And yeah,
that
there's the occasional turn where you're like, okay, what I was planning doesn't work now, and so you have to figure it out, but it's not that bad.
yeah. So I mean, all in all, I think I really liked it. I mean, I think Revive was number 4 or 5 in my top games of the year last year, and I really liked Revive, and I think I don't want to play the game without this. I mean, if someone's never played, I'll keep it out just for a little more streamlined. But I really, really liked this, and it didn't do anything to help the storyline, really. But I don't care because I still really like the mechanics of this, and chasing those jellyfish cards are so much fun. So I
Because you don't
really
understand the poetry of that storyline
that's
well.
fair.
Like,
That is fair.
it's not the game's fault.
So this is a fact of hate the player, not the game.
Sure.
Yeah,
No,
that's
I
fair.
have no idea what's going on with that story either, but I think it's us and not the game.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I think yeah, I love the mechanics of this game, and I think anybody who likes Revive should chase this thing down. I think it's how the game should have been played from the beginning. I
Great.
understand why you don't use it, but I think everything all the additions I liked.
Great without it, it's better with it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Um, so there you have it, folks. So if you're coming here for like trash talk, you didn't really get it. But yeah, we're both pretty high on it. So this is something that all in all, it's not easy to get this game right now. If you are heading off to Essen, you can pick it up there apparently. You can get it in Europe. And I believe you can
Sure.
order it from Matago, is my understanding. So you
Mm.
can get it. It's just not easy. But when you find it, I my full recommendation is get it with the expansion. And it does all fit in the box. And apparently there is a folded space insert done, which I just found out about, which I have on the way.
It's impressive.
Yeah, and the folded space does say it will fit this expansion.
Excellent.
Yeah.
They do
So
good stuff there at Folded Space.
yeah. So there you have it, folks. That is Revive. Obviously we're both really high on it. This is a really good mechanically. I think is a fantastic game. It only gets better this way. As always, if you found this video useful, please like, subscribe, share, maybe become a channel member. Make sure you pick up your copy of Backyard Chickens. And as always, have a wonderful, wonderful day. Not gonna say goodbye.
Why?